Someone said it was re-review time again. So let's fasten those seatbelts as we hit the open road, because this one's going to get crazy. Hello and welcome to the re-review. I'm Zoidberg, this is UK Gaming Network, and you are watching the latest in my ongoing series where I take a new look at all the Amiga games that I previously reviewed on release. If you don't know me, I used to review games for Amiga Action and Games X magazines way back when. Have my opinions changed in the last 30 years? This is where we're going to find out. Today's episode is one for all the racing fans out there, as we feel the need for speed and re-examine Crazy Cars 3, developed and published by Titus Software in 1992. Titus Software were founded in 1985 in a small eastern suburb of Paris by brothers Eric and Hervé Kahn. They set about developing games for all home computers of the time, and their first batch of titles would arrive in 1988. These included an arcade racing game by the name of Crazy Cars. Despite what were for the time some fairly decent graphics, it was not a particularly great game. Reviews averaged out around 71%, but it did manage to sell well enough to warrant a sequel. To be honest, Crazy Cars 2, released the following year, is one of the worst racing games I've ever played, thanks in the main to some truly shocking controls. 1991 would be a turning point for Titus, as this was the year that they released their game based on the Blues Brothers. This acclaimed platform game was swiftly followed by another in Prehistoric, and then another in Titus the Fox, making a platform game hero out of the distinctive character in their logo. Suddenly, everyone was looking to see what the company did next. Safe to say, nobody was expecting or asking for a third game in the Crazy Cars series, but we got one anyway. This time, your objective would see you racing a red Lamborghini Diablo in a number of illegal street races across America. Crazy Cars 3 will simply go down as one of the most improved sequels in the history of gaming. Console versions followed 2 years later in 1994, with the title changed to Lamborghini American Challenge, bringing with it a split-screen two-player mode. In a surprising move, Amiga owners would see the game re-released under this title, including a version for the CD32. Now let's see what score I gave it first time around in my original review. My review appeared in issue 36 of Amiga Action from September 1992. It was a packed issue with over 20 games reviewed, including air support from Psygnosis, which also graced the cover, as well as my review of Premiere from Core Design, which I'll get to in a future episode. This was also the issue where our top 100 Amiga games of all time was revealed in a free extra supplement, which included each writer's own individual top 10. I can't actually remember what mine was, as I no longer have this supplement. So if there's anyone out there who does have it, I'd really like to get my hands on a copy. I awarded Crazy Cars 3 89%, 1 point short of earning an Action Accolade stamp. I remember that I had wanted to score it higher, but I was talked down by one of the editors. I was especially impressed with the game's sense of speed, and how the car's handling actually felt like you were driving on a road. I also liked the practice mode that let you try out any of the tracks in the game with handy on-screen arrows to help you learn them. For me, Crazy Cars 3 is juicier than Jaguar, but not as lovable as Lotus. What more can I say? Does this summary still stand up today? Let's play the game again and find out. Okay, so this is Crazy Cars 3. This is your main screen where you choose all your events from. What I really like is the fact that you actually get the option to change up or fire as your primary acceleration control at any point. You don't have to choose at the start and then you're stuck with it throughout the rest of the game, like you are in Lotus or Jaguar. So let's just get on with the first race. A lot of races again will have specific rivals for you to race against. And when they do, you get thrown into this screen first, where you can actually place bets on your overall performance. I'm not going to go any higher than 500. Basically, you will only win the pot if you actually win the race, so you have to be very confident in your ability. One of the first things that you'll notice with this game is the scale of the sprites. For some reason, the player car is quite significantly smaller than all the other cars on the road. Yeah, it's not game breaking in any way, but it is a little bit distracting. All of the races are point-to-point races, so A to B. Whenever you see an arrow pointing over the head of another car, that's one of the 3 people that you were pitting your money against before the race. Okay, so I only have 4,500 remaining. So I think the next race is the one that costs 2,000 to enter. Every race has an entry fee. So 2,000 to enter this one. And then you got $100 for each square of damage that you accrued. It's definitely not as immediate pick up and play as something like Lotus. The handling does take a little getting used to. Probably not helped by the way the car sprite actually weaves slightly from side to side on screen rather than staying stuck to the middle. But this is such a massive improvement over the previous 2 Crazy Cars games. It was a little bit of a shame that they actually slapped the Crazy Cars name on it, because anyone who played the first 2 would probably give this game a wide berth, and they shouldn't do. One thing it could definitely do with is some kind of on-screen indicator to tell you how far behind the opponents are. Because I've got no idea if I was to crash now, if one of the cars is right behind me and will therefore overtake. Oh no! Yes, this game does have police on it as well. I forgot about that. You can actually buy a scanner in the upgrades menu. It will tell you when the police are going to be. Because as you can see, I am the one that the police are after right now. It's one of the few arcade racing games where you do actually have to brake for some of the tighter corners. And there you go, that's game over because I've run out of money. I can't afford to enter any more races. And that's how brutal the difficulty of this game can be. But the only other mode that you have at your disposal is the ability to practice any of the stages. And what the practice mode actually does for you is that it will put on-screen arrows to let you know what corner is coming up. I mean, for the solo player, this is still a great racing game. But if you've got friends who are going to want to play it with you, that's the game's biggest downfall. So, I mean, as far as today is concerned, you could just play Lamborghini American Challenge instead, because that does have a split-screen 2-player mode. And that's probably why I did end up scoring at 89% rather than 90%. Although it's definitely one of the best arcade racing games on the Amiga. Ignoring the unfortunate sprite sizing, Crazy Cars 3 is still a fantastic arcade racing game. It may not be a pick up and play title like the Lotus series, but once you get used to how it plays, it still offers a meaty single player challenge. The gambling aspect, while something that would hit the game with an age rating if it was released in today's market, is actually a fun way for the player to raise the stakes of each race. You will inevitably get too cocky for your own good and end up losing all your money at least once. The vehicle upgrades are priced just high enough to make you want to risk a few extra $100 on your own ability. The only thing that the game's really missing is a 2-player mode, which is thankfully something that was rectified by the retitled re-release in 1994. Although if you are playing solo, it doesn't really matter as they are both essentially the same game. Readers of Amiga Action will probably remember the Super Leagues, tables that allow readers to see at a glance where games of the same genre would compare to each other. In the spirit of this, I'm going to show you how I would rank the arcade racing games on the Amiga, and specifically where Crazy Cars 3 compares to them. As you can see, it's still highly recommended. An easy 9 out of 10 in whichever version it comes. That concludes another episode of the re-review. Thank you for watching and supporting our channel. There's a brand new episode of this series every 2 weeks, and you can catch up on all the previous episodes by checking out the playlist. Stay tuned and we'll have a little musical tease of what game I'm going to be re-reviewing next. Give us a like and ring the bell to make sure that you don't miss it, and maybe even subscribe while you're at it. If you want to ask me anything about this or future episodes, then catch me over on Twitter at UKGNZoidberg. Until next time, happy retro gaming, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.